So welcome everyone to a new podcast, a new free podcast. Today we are with Gorkem Yurtseven, right?
Yurtseven, yes.
Yurtseven.
Yeah.
So you're the CTO of Fal.ai?
Yes. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're Turkish. What are you doing here on the US? How did you get here? How did you get interested in technology?
Of course. Yeah. So I was born in Turkey. My family still lives there. So I came here for college, actually to Philadelphia. And then right after college, I moved to the Bay Area. I got my first job as a software engineer. And since then, I've been living here. I spent most of my career working for Amazon. It was actually a great experience to work on various different teams there and do everything all across the stack. And around 2 years ago, with my co-founder Burkay, we started Features and Labels, which stands for Fal.ai. And I can tell a little bit about the company, but that's kind of how I came to be the CTO of Fal.ai.
You started Fal 2 years ago?
Yes. We were doing, so it was pre-generative AI, and we were doing more traditional machine learning infrastructure. So we were working on a serverless Python runtime, and we were more positioned towards a tool for data scientists. This AI engineer role didn't really exist back then, and obviously Stable Diffusion and ChatGPT and LLMs changed everything, and we did a slight pivot towards generative AI, and we tried to use our existing Python runtime for this specific use case, and then we specialized even further to focus on just inference, and even further to just media inference. And when I say media, it's usually image, video, audio, and things around it.
Okay, because to be honest, I found about your company deep in a Twitter X thread. Somebody mentioned you. Correct, guys. And I never hear about you before. I think it was at the time when LCMs came out and you used so you put online a service that allow you to do generate images in real time. So please talk to us a little bit more about, in detail, what is the service that you provide so people can understand?
Of course. So I believe that was around end of November when...
That's okay.
And at that time, we were working on this iteration of the company for around 6 months. We had one big customer that we were working with, kind of just with them, and we didn't have that many things that were public, and this service wasn't really open for anyone else. And until that point, we were trying to get our inference times as fast as possible, and we were building the whole infrastructure around it. But even if we did our best, and even if our inference engine was running the models as fast as possible, we needed the number of steps to be lower to get to the real-time level. So as soon as the LCM models came out, the inference time was able to be reduced for this interaction to feel real-time, and we were quickly able to put out the demo, just open it up for the whole world. We thought this was a magical moment, and this was kind of our coming out party to the world, and we wanted to make sure people were impressed, people had access to it immediately, and most importantly, the service was available, because we thought, okay, if we can open this magical experience up to everyone, this is going to be an amazing demonstration of what we can do if we did inference for the consumer AI company that is going to be using us. So things went really, really well. Over 2 weeks, we put out different kinds of demos, slightly similar, but all showcasing real-time image generation. And we were able to generate a ton of buzz in the internet. And yeah, since then, we've been growing the company. We've been making different changes to our inference engine on the video side, on the audio side as well. So it's not only like real-time image generation, it's end-to-end AI inference. And yes, we do it faster, and therefore like it's easier to build real-time experiences. But that's just a side effect of how good the other parts of our system is working.
Okay, so let's try to define some of those things in terms that everybody can understand them. So,
Of course.
can you explain a little bit how LCM works? What are the difference between a model that uses LCM versus a model that doesn't use?
Yes, of course. So the consistency models, it was actually applied for LLMs before. Like I think there was a paper from OpenAI that came out, and it is to reach similar. It's like to reach to the answer faster. I think that's the best way to describe. And then Simeon, actually a friend of ours at this point. He's from China, I believe. He's actually starting a company himself as well. He wrote a paper about like how to apply the consistency model to image generation. And with this paper, he proposed a way to generate like not the highest quality images, but acceptable quality images with only 2 to 4 steps. Previously, with normal Stable Diffusion and like Stable Diffusion XL, for example, it would take you 20 to 25 steps to generate images that were good quality and were coherent. But with LCM models, you could generate an image in like less than half a second, sometimes even less than 200 milliseconds, and then you can do a lot of these in a row, and all of a sudden you have a real-time experience. And imagine if you're like editing an image or drawing or making changes to the prompt, we can just blast the GPUs with different prompts or different images, and then the experience feels real time.
So not only there are fewer steps, but those steps are also cheaper?
Yes, right? Exactly. There's also a cost part of this. You can generate many images for less resources, because at the end of the day, most of the cost comes from time spent in the GPU. Mm-hmm. So you're spending less time in the GPU waiting for it in the office. Yeah.
Okay, but there is also there are also things happening outside of the GPU.
Right.
You need to queue the requests.
Yes.
You need to answer them. What kind of infrastructure do you provide?
Yes. So this is actually one of the parts that we were thinking of building infrastructure about getting inference faster. But because the inference took, let's say, 3 to 5 seconds before, the things we did to make the journey faster outside the GPU didn't matter much, because you make things 300 milliseconds faster. Maybe you send the request to a GPU closer, but because the whole thing takes 5 seconds, that 300 milliseconds didn't matter much. But we knew this was coming. Like for like inference, it's going to be really important. As soon as like shaving off a couple hundred milliseconds means you're actually making a big impact on the whole journey. So like you're actually building our system for that feature to happen. It happened faster than we thought. Like we kind of had to scramble together within like a couple of days to get the service out there. But because of the things that we've been building, it fit perfectly. We actually started with a WebSocket-based solution. So the reason why a WebSocket makes sense here, because typically until that point, things like Midjourney or other Stable Diffusion type systems work with a queue. So you would send a request, you would either get a URL back that you can call again, or you can put like a webhook that you can you get a response back once the image is ready. But that whole process almost triples the amount of time you are waiting in the case where you can do inference for less than 250 milliseconds. So we couldn't even just start the whole new HTTP request each time, because you have to do, like, there's so much overhead with a new HTTP request. So we had to open a WebSocket where the socket connection stays open. We are streaming images. In the server side, we can make some optimizations. For example, we can reject some of the frames. We can wait for more frames to be able to do inference as a group. And then it's the same way from our servers back to the user, we send them as fast as possible with the same WebSocket connection. So that was the only way to be able to do this as fast as possible. And then we were like using different data formats. We kind of improved that a little bit as well. And like now it's seamless. People even do video streaming through this infrastructure. Like they're streaming frames so fast that it like feels like a video at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you provide services that handle all the infrastructure to serve the model, as well as the model itself.
Yes.
How flexible it is? Like, imagine, like, my guess is that users, they would like to use their own fine tunes of different models.
Yeah.
Do you take a model from the user and do the LCM model from the user? Do you expect the user to come out with their own LCM model? Like, how does it work? And
yeah, it's really common to see different SDXI fine tunes, and then more, like less so, but some LCM fine tunes as well. And yeah, we do work with users. If they want to provide their own fine tune, we would put the model weights into the same infrastructure, and the same way that we provide the WebSocket infrastructure, they can use it with their own fine tunes or LCM fine tunes or SDXL fine tunes, whatever they have. One important part I forgot to mention, we also built these clients, meaning like we built a JavaScript library, we built a Python library, and then we built a Swift library to handle these WebSocket connections as efficient as possible. So that's also another part of this. It's much easier to do HTTP based, like you send a request and you wait. It's much easier to do that than managing these WebSocket connections. So those clients were really useful for other people to build on top of our platform as well.
okay, and well, I'm curious about what other services you want to make available on your website. So we have been talking about real-time image generation. Yep. Do you have any other tricks on your sleeve, other things that you're working on?
Yeah, so as I said, we recently made Stable Diffusion video available, and to my knowledge, it is by far the fastest way to run Stable Diffusion video that's available out there on the internet, and fastest also in this case means cheapest. So that's a very exciting open source video model that's, I'm sure, gonna get better.
Is it fastest with a trade-off in quality, like with LCM?
Oh, so it's not. It's just using the plain model weights. Okay. So that's actually one of the things that I would like to, like as a company, we should do a better job. Like we provide LCMs, we provide other type of distilled models, but then we provide the original weights as well. And usually we make it very explicit. Okay, this is the distillation, this is the LCM model, this is the original one. And it is possible to make the original weights run faster too, with like no quality impact whatsoever. But because now there's like all these different tricks playing with the weights to make things faster, people are like more suspicious. Oh, like, okay, you are claiming this is SDXL or you are claiming this is SVD, but is it really? So we try to like educate our customers a little bit better there, and like I think the whole community needs to get a little bit better at this because there's so much variety. There's so many different ways of running this. As like an inference provider, we have to make sure everyone's on the same page about it. Yeah.
And something that I asked you the other day, I think everybody will be interested in hearing.
Yes.
Where are you having the GPUs? I mean, can you talk a little bit about the size of your infrastructure?
Of course.
Because everybody's having problems with GPUs. It seems to be getting a bit easier now.
Yeah, of course. So most of our infrastructure is two types of GPUs. There's more. Like there's probably a couple others that we are playing around depending on what the customer wants. We can add them and remove them really easily. But most of our fleet is A100s and A6000s. In our opinion, for the models we have available in our platform, those are usually the two best cost efficient and speed efficient ways to run these.
4090s?
Not 4090s. I don't think we are.
Officially?
I don't think we are allowed to run that.
Okay, Jensen is not listening to it.
Maybe he is.
So officially you're not using it?
Yes. No for the 90s. But
for those who don't know, 4090s, they are very cost efficient. They are consumer grade, so you are not able to use them in a data center, even though they would be very suitable for
this.
Yeah, very cost efficient of this.
A6000s are great too, and
it's okay, good. More pricey.
A little bit more pricey. Yeah, and then for like fine tuning for videos, A100s are great. We love them. And when it comes to where we get them, so in November when the company was growing very, very fast, we were actually running on a single cloud provider, and like everyone else, it was harder to get GPUs from them. It was also like a price thing as well. We didn't have enough negotiating power. So maybe 1 month before we had started kind of rewriting our infrastructure to allow multiple different clouds. In November, when things are growing, we made that switch. And at some point, we were in 6 different clouds. All the common suspects, like no surprises there. Today, we consolidated a little bit. Maybe we have 4 or 5 different providers right now. But one other thing that's important for us is the location of these GPUs, because we have some customers who want to run inference in Europe, so we have to have a European data center. We have some customers who are more latency sensitive, so let's say if the request is coming from San Francisco, we want to send that request to a GPU that's close to there. And then generative AI is huge in China, and we have in Asia, and we have a massive data center in Japan that also for location reasons we use them. Yeah.
Okay. Any favorites among providers?
Any favorites?
If you can say it.
Look, I'm not sponsored by anyone.
No, but it's, I mean, did you have any bad experiences, any good experiences that was, or basically the same?
Yeah, I would say like we've had a very good experience with Lambda Labs. That's a big part of our fleet is there. But like we work with many other providers, so it's changing all the time. It's not constant, depending on availability, depending on price. Very easily we can move traffic from one data center to the other. We can add new GPUs in the same data center. So it's our system at this point is really flexible. So it's always in flex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about what what are the feature services that you want to deploy? So you mentioned optimizing, any word on the Stable Diffusion tree, for example, are you working on it?
Yes, we are actually working on Stable Diffusion tree. Whenever we get permission from them, we'll be able to provide Stable Diffusion tree as an API. I think you're hearing it for the first time here.
So you know the Stable Diffusion tree?
Yes. We are very excited about that one. It sounds like it's going to be a step function improvement in terms of how much control you get, how much prompt adherence you get. And I'm sure as soon as we get a handle of it, we'll be able to optimize it and make it run as fast as possible. So it's going to be good for everyone at the end. Stable Diffusion 3, we are really, really excited about. Hopefully the next generation video models, we are really excited about that. And then we want to get better at personalization, making images like individuals or styling like a product or styling an artist style or things like that. So like fine tunes and personalization is one other area we're trying to get better at.
Okay, because so far you work a lot on inference, right? Creating images that use inference, but you have not done many things. First, I know on training.
Yes. Not as much. But one thing we are actually really, really good at, and it's part of the inference experience, is we can swap out Lorax dynamically, and we can load multiple of them at the same time to the same GPU. So if you have a use case where you need to use very different fine tunes, even the whole model, but mostly it's just the LoRa layer, we can very dynamically swap them out. So you get like no cold starts if you keep changing different types of Lorax. And this is very good for the inference story. So we wanna tie up the whole thing and offer the fine tuning part to people as well. But the inference, I don't know if anyone else is able to do dynamic LoRa loading as good as we do, but it's not what everyone needs. But if you need it, it's really important that you should be able to dynamically swap Loras. You don't get cold starts between different styles, and it's a much more efficient way of utilizing the GPUs, which at the end of the day is what we are doing. We are making sure everyone is utilizing the GPU as much as possible.
Okay, so by the way, for those who don't know, we came across Lorax a few times in this podcast, but didn't try to define it in simple words. I can try if you want, but it's better if you define what is a Lorax so that people can understand.
I'll give an example. So I would say there's two types of LoRa. One that works better with styles. So you could think of it like you are uploading a certain style. This could be some artistic style, or it could be some colorful style, and then this LoRa is a layer that gets applied on top of the base model, and then when you are prompting the image asking for that specific style, you just fine-tune the model with. The model is much better at generating images with that style. Mm-hmm. Similarly, this can also work with individuals, let's say people's faces or products. This usually is a longer process, but then you can swap out that layer, and when you say generate me a man or a woman, doing that, it would give the personality, the identity of the person you train the LoRa with. It's very popular in consumer AI applications, both applications, both styles and personalization. And it's a fascinating way to play with these models. Yeah.
Okay, and that question that I don't know if it's going to be too private, feel free to answer that. I met once with the provider of for an API that is related to AI.
Yeah.
AI. Was a vectorizer actually. So you can build like an image and you make a vector image out of the image. And he told me that the pattern that he saw is usually a customer launches, they set this spike in usage, and then it goes on.
Yeah.
And how has been, because there's a lot of hype around AI.
Yeah.
And maybe there is also, I think there is a pattern of, wow, it goes all over the internet, and then it disappears. What was your experience? You're an active customer, so what is the pattern?
Yeah, we mostly work with consumer ad companies, so there is definitely a wow effect in the beginning when something new like LCMs or real-time models come out. This definitely happens, but so far I've been surprised with how our biggest customers was able to actually maintain that interest and that traffic, and they keep coming up with new creatives, new ways to impress people, and it seems like this is gonna be a big part of our lives and becoming more of a utility. These image generation and creative AI products are becoming more of a utility than an entertainment product that you are bored with after a couple of weeks. Those are the best customers, in our opinion, who can actually turn this technology into something you need every day or you need at your work. And those are the repeatable use cases that we see people are able to create experiences around. And you're right, some things go viral and people forget about them immediately. But I think for an infrastructure provider like us, it's the best to work with the people who can create the utility product at the end. Yeah.
Right. Personal person, like how many GPUs are you using today? And I can
it's fluctuating all the time, depending on the traffic, depending on how things are going. I've seen at most 500 from like our experiences, maybe like a little bit more. So we are like very close to the peak, but yeah, like depending on the demand, we even get new ones or get rid of some others, but I would say around that. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm asking everybody here.
Yeah. Market match.
Yeah, no, but I made recently this is like the 13th interview that I'm making. I'm asking everyone to give me a little bit of their view of how regulation can change AI.
Right.
There is kind of a, let's say, like nuclear scenario. Okay, politicians clarify if it's legal or illegal to train models with content that you don't own. Yeah. And if it's clearly illegal, that will roll out like things like a stable diffusion. I think we'll roll out a study every mode, like even Adobe Fal.ai has been trained with images from Midjourney.
Yeah, I saw it in the news or something now.
Yeah, which we knew, right? It's something that it wasn't the news, but we all knew that it was using the images that are really well on Adobe stock. Yeah, and Midjourney images are on Adobe stock. So, I mean, how do you think that this can play out? It can be like a pretty dramatic change.
It's pretty tough. It's gonna probably turn into so. First of all, there are a lot of images on the internet, and people had ways of monetizing images on the internet before AI came. So, like stock image companies, and they play a great role in letting model training, foundation model companies do this legally. You saw Reddit just became basically data provider. I believe they gave access to their data for 60 million.
That's right.
To Google, and not exclusively, so they can do that to others. So there's definitely very economical ways or profitable ways to do this legally, and I'm sure we are going to see more of what Reddit did happening. And yeah, it's really hard to tell. I mean, things leak, but it's almost impossible to prove. Maybe there is to prove it. Actually, I don't know. Is what the model has been trained on, and then there's derivatives of it, right? You train things that were trained on photos, but like the result of what you trained it is actually like output of another model, and there's going to be more and more of these. If it's like more years of this experience we live. So in my opinion, doing this legally is very obvious. So we are probably going to do it. Companies are going to sell images, data for money, and foundation model trainers will use it because this is such a big opportunity. It's definitely worth it. But I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty hard to regulate. So unclear on how the governments will be able to stop it.
So my opinion is that it will not be hard to regulate. Like, just make it mandatory, and everybody that doesn't follow it's like having mortgages distributed over and illegally.
Yeah.
You make it legal, and then you want to make it your own.
So, a question to you, like, is YouTube public or private?
As a company?
Like a YouTube video. Like who owns a YouTube video? Like,
It depends. It depends on the definition of public. Who owns the YouTube video is the copyright owner. I mean, the owner of the copyright is that. Now, when you upload it to YouTube, you give the right to Google to distribute that video under certain conditions. Okay, the conditions are laid out in terms of services. They are laid out in the contract between Google and the provider of the video. So, is it public? Is it publicly available?
Yeah.
Now, you cannot do anything that you want with that video. To me, the question is more, do you get rights to train an AI model automatically by the fact that you can access an image or a video? And I don't know the answer to that. Now, I don't know. There's this debate over if this falls in fair use or not.
Yep.
Okay? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I can see both things happening. Okay.
Like a movie is very clear to me. Like movie already has very specific trademark rules around it. But the rest of the internet, not so obvious. But
to me, the difficult thing is about text. I'm thinking more about the consequences if we try to legislate things. I don't think there will be big consequences on models that generate images. You can license them. I think there will be strong consequences on models that generate text.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's feasible to get to train a text model only over copyrighted content.
yeah.
I think that you need the whole of the internet almost, and then some. Okay. So I think that we are going to lose a very useful thing if we only accept
Copyright. Yeah. And you think cat's out of the bag? Like now we have all these big models that were probably trained on non-copyright.
That's not very trained on copyright stuff. Okay, all of them. I think that many people will be pissed off if they cannot use elements. So that many people will like to use LLMs, and you make it possible, I think society is going to look something about it.
I agree. And with image models, you think it's easier because we can probably get there by just paying for it and actually using copyrighted images or copyrighted video.
It is on the edge, but yes, I think it can be done. I mean, it sets a barrier of entry to create a foundational model of a few tens of millions.
Okay.
But the barrier of entry was already like a couple of millions. It was not exactly.
Yeah.
And you need that you need that expertise. So you're raising the bar slightly to enter. I don't think there will be a dramatic change.
Okay.
But I think it would be a dramatic change for text.
For this, yeah. And, people are talking about synthetic data, like now creating more data using these LLMs with image models. This is already happening.
I think if this happens, it will probably follow that everything that's been generated with models trained over those
Falls under the same, yeah.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, maybe we will have like an abstract moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you
Any
so
other
much.
things that you want to share before we got like new things that you have on the pipeline, like Fal.ai, super exciting company if you want to
Thank
do
you.
models.
Thank you. One service actually we just announced is DPO as a service. So the idea is
Again,
DPO.
DPO.
Yeah, it's I'll explain what it is. So if you are a company like Midjourney, and if you wanna get better results next time you fine tune the model, it's a good technique to actually show like 4 different images to the user or however many you want, and get an understanding of which one they like the most or which one looks the best. And then once you can rank these, and then next time you're fine-tuning, using this information makes the better results for the next model. So we now have APIs that provides this as a service. We keep everything private, and when our customers wants to fine-tune their models next time, we provide this data to them, and they can go ahead and either fine-tune or train a whole new model using this rank information. So that super interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And good luck. You couldn't need it, but
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
thank you.